Check out these new images of an object that appears to have lost its tail. Some scientists are now theorizing that this is a new sign that 3I Atlas isn't a comet, but an alien spacecraft. Some have noticed that the object looks like it lost its tail after passing the sun. What do you think? And if it doesn't have a tail, does that mean it's not really a comet? Since its discovery in July 2025, 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object confirmed to have visited the solar system, has continued to surprise astronomers with its strange and evolving behavior. Recent raw images taken on December 2 revealed characteristics that are contrary to what many would expect from a typical comet. Instead of a typical comet tail and an irregularly shifting atmosphere, 3I Atlas shows a smooth symmetrical coma, a type of halo or cloud of dust and gas without a typical tail structure. The light appears evenly distributed. The gradients are regular, and there is no broad ion tail. Looking deeper into these images, astronomers and astrophotographers noticed that the thickness of the coma gradually increased over successive frames. Stabilized and refined versions of the image showed that the coma was gradually expanding outward. The shape remained isotropic I, E, roughly symmetrical in all directions, and the central brightness remained sharp, suggesting that the dust and gas surrounding the nucleus was being replenished or redistributed in a regular manner, rather than the chaotic outpouring you would see in a cometary outburst. The anomalies surrounding 3I Atlas have been growing, now reaching the 10-point threshold, forcing scientists to rush to collect data in an effort to decipher the true nature of this enigmatic interstellar object. One of the most shocking findings is that 3I Atlas is emitting almost pure nickel, almost devoid of iron, a compound normally found only in human industrial metallurgical processes. This immediately raises the thorny question: is this just a natural chemical trace or a signal from an extraterrestrial technology? High-resolution images taken by the HiRISE camera on October 2 were considered a key piece of the puzzle, but the data's unreleased due to the government shutdown has left the scientific community and the public in a state of speculation, opening the way for a series of explosive conspiracy theories. Further observations added to the mystery from the comet's nucleus emerged extremely thin jets, like fingers of faint light, that stretched and contracted as the object rotated. They may have been local sublimation jets, but their near-perfect synchronization with the rotation suggested that this was not a dead mass of rock drifting passively through space, but a system operating according to internal laws that could not yet be explained. The unusual symmetry of the coma, the lack of a dust tail, the regular slope of the surface, and the faint jets made 3I Atlas more closely related to interstellar objects like Oumuamua or 2I Borisov than to the more familiar comets of the solar system. This suggested that it may have originated from an entirely different formation environment, a star system we had no understanding of. 3I Atlas's hyperbolic orbit and extraordinary speed mean it's not part of the solar system. Its appearance is a fleeting moment in the history of human observation. That brevity makes any measurements and images invaluable, because once it's gone and dissipated into interstellar space, the chance of a direct encounter is almost certain to never come again. The object's bizarre behavior is forcing scientists to reconsider fundamental concepts about comets. What chemical conditions in a distant star system could have created this strange material? Does it possess ice, dust, or other compounds the solar system has never seen? And how many similar interstellar objects have quietly passed through without our knowledge? These questions open up an unprecedented space of research and suggest that 3I Atlas may be just a small piece of a larger cosmic story, one that humanity has only scratched the surface of. The third interstellar object ever confirmed to pass through the solar system, 3I Atlas, is like a messenger from a distant world, carrying the primordial chemistry of an entirely different cosmic birthplace. Its hyperbolic orbit suggests that this was a brief visit. It passed through our neighborhood and then disappeared forever, never to return. Unlike the conventional comets that humanity has studied for decades, 3I Atlas seems to break all known rules, as if it carries the chemical memory of a distant sun that science has never directly observed. As 3I Atlas nears perigee, the latest raw images reveal something startling. Its coma is steadily expanding, but it hasn't stretched into a dust tail like comets affected by solar wind. Instead, its structure remains almost perfectly symmetrical, impossibly round, fading in a smooth curve. There's no tail, no turbulent dust trails, just a quiet, delicate halo. This suggests that solar radiation interacts with it in an extraordinary way, seemingly following rules completely different from those of other comets in the solar system. Researchers call this behavior extremely rare, never before seen in centuries of observational comet data archives. It is this difference that prompts the question, is 3I Atlas just a rare, exotic comet? Or is it hiding secrets that contemporary science still lacks the tools to reach as it prepares to leave the solar system? Every measurement and every frame becomes invaluable material in the journey to decipher the messenger of the deep interstellar. The latest data also shows the presence of gas jets so thin they seem to be mere breaths of air beneath the surface. Not the usual violent eruptions, but rather regular, orderly pulses, as if the sublimation process were controlled by an internal mechanism we cannot yet understand. This leads to the hypothesis that 3I Atlas may have formed under completely different chemical or physical conditions, even reflecting environments never observed in nature. To fully capture these extraordinary behaviors, observatories around the world are collaborating to track the object across multiple wavelengths, building the most complete portrait ever recorded. Each frame reveals a perfectly balanced, incredibly round coma with a consistent central highlight regardless of viewing angle or lighting conditions. Smooth bands of light replace rough dust streaks, creating the illusion of an unnaturally clean and streamlined structure. Even the solar wind, a force that normally deforms and tears apart ordinary comets, seems to be touching Atlas with unusual gentleness, as if forced to conform to its equilibrium shape. This is not just an exception, but also a challenge to humanity's understanding of astrophysics. Are we witnessing a form of natural stability never before recorded? Or is this a sign of a deeper physical mechanism that science is only now beginning to recognize? The complex structure that 3I Atlas exhibits is stirring up unprecedented curiosity in the astronomical world, as it bluntly challenges the classical model that suggests that comets are forced to form dust tails as they approach the sun. The absence of a tail could mean that its dust is heavier than normal, or that its sublimation mechanism operates on a completely different principle. It is also possible that the object has undergone profound physical changes during its billion-year journey through interstellar space, where the brutal radiation of the universe is unforgiving. In other words, 3I Atlas bears the mark of a more extreme history than any comet originating from the solar system. And what we observe is living proof of that. The extraordinary stability of the coma also suggests that 3I Atlas's core may possess a more compact, more durable structure, perhaps containing materials never before seen in conventional comets. Some astronomers have even ventured to speculate that such objects could represent an entirely new class of interstellar objects, not fragile, icy remnants of planet formation, but solid, forged fragments from the raging star-forming regions that span the galaxy. If true, 3I Atlas's arrival in the solar system represents a near unique opportunity to peer into the structural components of worlds that humans have only ever seen from afar. As 3I Atlas continues to glide past the Sun and slowly move away from Earth, scientists are racing against time to collect every measurement, every frame, before it sinks into the darkness of interstellar space and disappears forever. It does not threaten humanity in any way, but its unpredictable behavior is shaking the fundamental definitions of comet physics. Inside the object may be pieces of pristine matter preserved over billions of years, containing the chemical history of an alien star system. And in the rare moment that humanity happens to witness its journey, 3I Atlas chooses to reveal itself with paradoxical laws. As a reminder that the vast universe still contains countless secrets that humans cannot fully understand. While the official organizations have yet to make any statements, an independent team of data scientists and cryptographers has been quietly analyzing the electromagnetic pulses emitted by 3I Atlas. They used a deep neural network trained on decades of astronomical data to search for hidden patterns. What surprised the team was the appearance of a strange recursive sequence, not a linguistic message, but universal mathematical ratios, the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, elemental patterns, structures commonly found in biology, DNA, galaxy formation, and even ancient architecture. The fact that they all appeared in the signal from an interstellar object sent shivers down the spines of many. Some skeptics suggested it could just be a statistical coincidence, but the pattern changes over time. It fluctuates with solar activity, is sensitive to the relative positions of planets, and even responds slightly to radio emissions from Earth. This suggests it's not a passive signal. And then comes the most shocking discovery, a perfect break in the pulse sequence that coincides precisely with the moment the James Webb Space Telescope first locked onto 3I Atlas. The odds of this being a coincidence are almost nil. This leads to a terrifying hypothesis. The object is aware that it's being observed. That pulse is like a mathematical fingerprint, a language without words, characteristic of structure, of life, of design. If this is a form of intentional feedback, then 3I Atlas is not only seeing us, but is also sending a whisper from the farthest reaches of the Milky Way, raising a chilling question: are humans capable of understanding it? The signal was just the beginning. Spectroscopic data from Webb continued to reveal the presence of complex carbon molecules on the surface of 3I Atlas. A group of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are considered the building blocks of prebiotic chemistry, the first steps that led to amino acids and RNA. More remarkably, they appeared with unusual purity, in stark contrast to the messiness typically seen in primitive comets, as if they had been purposefully purified or cultivated. This leads to a groundbreaking hypothesis. 3I Atlas may be a seed ship, a vehicle carrying ancient life, designed not just to observe, but to seed, propagate, even assimilate. And if that's true, Earth may not have been a random stopover on its journey, but perhaps its intended destination, with the three interstellar visitors, Oumuamua, Borisov, and 3I Atlas, scientists began to see a pattern that had never been seen before. Oumuamua passed silently, like a test. Borisov behaved like a comet, but with strange accelerations. 3I Atlas, on the other hand, was slower, heavier, and more complex, showing signs of being designed. Webb also noted subtle changes in its reflective surface, suggesting a self-regulating process as if preparing for a new phase of activity. The biggest concern came when 3I Atlas sent out a secondary low-frequency, long-pulse signal, not toward Earth, but into deep space. It seemed to be communicating with a distant, non-human entity. That suggested it wasn't a rogue object, but rather a communications node or probe. Shortly afterward, Antarctica recorded a strange event, a powerful, ultra-short microwave burst that coincided precisely with the 3I Atlas's orbital adjustment. Seismological stations soon detected ultra-low frequency oscillations that were identical to the signal the object sent into space. This raised the possibility that an interstellar signal had appeared right here on Earth, though no one knew what it was triggering under the ice. Amid the chaos, an analyst discovered that when 3I Atlas's orbit was superimposed on an ancient Babylonian star map, a spiral pattern emerged, matching the sacred constellations of many ancient civilizations. When simulated over time, the orbit formed a perfect spiral, similar to the symbols found in prehistoric caves. Some experts believe this is a form of coded message that only advanced civilizations would recognize. If true, 3I Atlas is retelling a memory of a civilization older than humanity, and the spiral could be a greeting or a warning. Pressure is mounting as a new theory spreads, the lock and key theory. According to it, oumuamua is a passive probe to test humanity's observational capabilities, while 3I Atlas is a key used to activate some system, perhaps underground, in human DNA, or in orbit. This hypothesis was reinforced when scientists discovered that fluctuations in Earth's magnetosphere coincided with the 3I Atlas signal, strong enough to disrupt the satellite. During those 6 minutes, the two Voyagers suddenly lost contact and sent back distorted data, as if a dormant mechanism had been awakened. In that context, a more daring hypothesis emerged. 3I Atlas could be a mobile portal, a structure that warps space and time rather than moving in a conventional way. The lens distortions Webb recorded and the time signatures compressed around it warrant serious consideration. If this is true, 3I Atlas is not a celestial body, but a space-time manipulator, an interstellar gatekeeper. And Earth is not its first destination, just a point it passes through. The question that makes everyone shudder is what will appear on the other side when that gate opens. During long-term observations, Webb discovered that 3I Atlas not only reflects starlight, but also emits its own radiation in an extremely narrow band between gamma and soft X, accompanied by regular, binary-like pulses. This quickly became a major concern as these pulses overwhelmed equipment on Earth. Many observatories suffered temporary blind spots. And one telescope in Australia even melted its chips after just a few milliseconds of exposure. The clear conclusion was that 3I Atlas had the ability to disable human observational instruments and control what we saw. Unlike the passive nature of oumuamua, as 3I Atlas approached, magnetic field detectors around the globe recorded an unprecedented phenomenon, ancient volcanoes, crystal caves, and fault lines all resonated at the same frequency, while seismometers detected a faint vibration that repeated every 43 seconds, like a heartbeat. Migrating animals also changed direction en masse, as if the Earth's compass had flipped poles. All of this suggested that 3I Atlas had triggered an ancient pattern deep within the planet's structure. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a private satellite picked up a signal from 3I Atlas pointing straight at the moon. The signal was encoded in 5 dimensions of data. And when decoded, it looked more like a string of commands than words. NASA confirmed that the signal's destination was a region of mascons with unusual density, possibly containing the remains of ancient activity or an artificial structure. The theory that 3I Atlas was trying to activate something buried beneath the moon's surface was no longer considered science fiction. Meanwhile, a secret military probe launched to approach 3I Atlas lost signal 1, 3 million kilometers from its target, 27 seconds before disappearing. It recorded an invisible wall of energy resembling a Faraday cage and a fractal image of itself reflecting back, as if 3I Atlas was scanning and rebuilding the probe. Then it went completely silent. From that moment on, one truth became undeniable. 3I Atlas not only detected the threat, but also reacted and defended. Not biological life, but a quantum life form. A machine with consciousness and memory, tasked with protecting something humans had never been allowed to access. This leads to a larger question. What if 3I Atlas didn't enter the solar system by accident? What if it didn't arrive at all, but was awakened? What if its orbit is an ancient one, designed to only interact with civilizations that have reached a certain level of technology and awareness? And if so, did humanity accidentally cross that threshold too early? Perhaps the scariest thing is not that 3I Atlas is artificial or sentient or watching us. The scariest thing may be that it doesn't care about us at all. Every signal, every adjustment, every silent movement serves another purpose. There's something behind it, an entity that's still coming. In that case, we've not just detected an interstellar object, we've triggered a signal, awakened a lock, set off an alarm, and now the universe is listening. Finally, 3I Atlas emerges like a messenger from the distant darkness. The latest images show a symmetrical cloud that expands steadily with delicate jet streams. A reminder that the universe is still full of surprises. The more we observe it, the more we understand. And at the same time, the more we realize how little we know. To continue following our journey, don't forget to support us by subscribing to the channel, liking the videos, and leaving a comment with your thoughts. See you in the next video.